and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. This is Irreverent, Faith and Current Affairs.
Welcome everyone to Irreverent Faith and Current Affairs. We're back after a week away. It's me, Jamie Franklin, with Tom Pelham this time. I've been on holiday and you've been at a clergy conference, Tom.
Before that I was on holiday as well. So
you were on holiday. Oh, where were you on holiday?
I was going to ask you that. I was at a place called it's gone out of my head. It's near Lyme Regis.
You don't know where you were on holiday?
Charmouth.
All right, okay. Was that good?
Which was nice. Yeah, it was nice. We went, all the usual things you do at Charmouth. Went to the Fleet Air Arm Museum at Yeovilton, which was good fun.
Nice.
Spending time at the beach, and we went, looking for fossils in the rocks and things like that. It was good fun. Yeah. Fossils,
yes, planted there by the regime. I was
glued in there. Okay. Whatever you're going to claim at their origin. I mean, they're there. So I mean,
no, I didn't say they weren't there. Did I mean it or not? Who knows? I was in Centre Parks Centre Parks in the Midlands, which I've never been to with my family before.
It's Sherwood Pines, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's funny being at Centre Parks, really.
Robin Hood and Little John.
Funny place.
Riding through the forest.
Yeah, well, that's it's Robin Hood country. That's the song. Very good. But Tom, we're limited time today, so let's keep the banter to a minimum.
Come on, that's what everyone wants. I need to make a correction, Jamie. Last time I was on here 2 weeks ago, I was very scathing about the conference, Chichester Clergy Conference, wasn't I? I don't want to go.
Was that on Uncollared or was it on the main?
I can't remember. I think it was on the main episode because we had the bingo on the seminars. Now the seminars I didn't go to because I went and had a sleep instead. I was told I could. But to be fair, a friend of the show, a good friend of the show, said to me, Tom, most clergy conferences you would have 3 keynote speakers on, strategic leadership, and here at least you have 3 keynote speakers organised by me, by him, on the creed, and they were interesting. And
did he say this? Did he say this having listened to your comments on the?
No, it was reported. Someone else had come to me and said, had heard one of the other clergy. I'm a minor celebrity.
Somebody had reported you for what you said on this podcast.
Not report. No. Whilst we were chatting to Dad, they came up and said.
I mean, to be fair, you had John Bear there, who's a major Eastern Orthodox theologian. Yeah. I mean, that is a high. I can't imagine. I've definitely never been to a clergy conference with somebody that high profile before.
No, it's great. And of course,
Orthodox as well.
Of course, Obadiah, who of course we're talking about here, the blessed Obadiah, has organised basically a fantastic series of keynote speakers. So I will take my hat off to him and say I enjoyed that. I didn't have a hat on, but I pretended I did. For those who are not listening. Who knows who are listening and not watching or something.
Yes. We do not. Most people listen to this, to be fair. So most people would be alienated by your gesture then, but never mind. Right, Tom, we need to move on. I just want to give a plug for the Lord Frost live interview that I'm doing, where people can come along and they can watch the interview. They can
heckle
in the Q&A. They can heckle Lord Frost if they'd like to, although I prefer if you didn't.
Heckle Jamie.
You can heckle me. That's fine. That is on. It's here in Winchester. At the church here. It's at 7:00 on the 18th of September. So
that's a week's time, Jamie.
Slightly earlier. Yeah, we're recording this on Thursday afternoon, actually, a bit later. So basically, come along, listen to the interview, which is being filmed for the podcast. So it will be released on the podcast as well. You can ask a question, be involved in the Q&A. And then afterwards, we have sharing biscuits in the church. I've got some classic merchandise on sale for low prices as well. And it'd be really fun. What were you going to say? Sorry, Tom?
What sort of sherry?
Oh, Harvey's probably.
Oh, don't. Go and get some proper sherry, Jamie. Like
what?
Well, like Oloroso or Amontillado, or maybe a sweeter one, maybe a Pedro Ximenez.
I'm working on a budget here, Tom.
Maybe some Madeira.
Harvey's is a very nice sherry.
Maybe some Madeira.
Well, some port as well. Don't worry about the sherry. Will be fine. Don't let that put you off. Come for the conversation. Rather than the cherry, but Fino is lovely. I think I'm probably
dry Fino.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so do come along. Don't allow Tom to put you off.
I'm not putting anyone off. I'm just saying, if you're going, don't expect fantastic sherry. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, fine. That's fine. Don't worry. It will be reasonably decent sherry. So anyway, so no, please do come, and I'll leave the link to book in. It's a tenner, basically, a tenner for all of that. For basically a private audience with Lord Frost and sherry, for moderately good sherry and biscuits. So really good deal. So I'll leave the link on the show notes. Please do book in soon. We've got lots of people coming, which is great, but many. It's a big church. It's a massive church, so there's lots of space. So do come along if you
Beautiful,
can.
beautiful
Yeah,
church.
it's a nice church. It's a great church, right? Great church, right in the middle of Winchester. Beautiful
Great city.
great city, great church. King Alfred was a great guy. There was this guy. His name was King
Is there a
Alfred.
St. Alfred? Has he ever been sainted? Is there
No,
a St. Alfred's?
no, he's not. He's not a saint.
It should
Although
be.
he
It
probably
should be a
should
saint.
be. Yeah,
It should
yeah.
be a
Although
saint.
we don't believe in saints.
No,
Do
we
we?
do believe in saints.
No, just well in the biblical sense.
Everyone's saints.
Well,
The
everybody
holy, the
is
agios.
the hagios.
Agios.
Yeah.
Agios.
What's that?
Yes, indeed.
It's only the agios if you're a Cockney, isn't it?
Agios.
Agios.
Yeah, where's that
Um,
agios?
people will not understand that joke unless they can read at least some New Testament Greek. Anyway, let's carry on, Tom, and we're going to do a little bit from Scripture. I've chosen today. I'll tell you why I've chosen this to talk about Luke chapter 6, which is it's Christ speaking about loving your enemies. I almost feel like it's almost sort of providential that we are recording late this week, because over the last couple of days there have been some extremely disturbing stories, not least the assassination of the political commentator Charlie Kirk at an event in Utah. So I'm going to read this and I'm going to share some comments just because I've been thinking about this today. And then we can talk about that story. But first, let's say the Lord's Prayer together. So I'll say that. That's all right with you, Tom. So let us pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. So this is from Luke chapter 6, verse 27. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. To one who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also, and from one who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who begs from you, and from one who takes away your goods, do not demand them back. And as you wish that others would do to you, so do to them. If you love those who love you, what benefit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what benefit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to get back the same amount. But love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For he is kind to the great ungrateful and the evil. Be merciful, even as your Father is merciful. This morning, actually, this was the reading from Holy Communion today. And this morning, actually, before I had read this in preparation for Holy Communion, I was with somebody who's actually come to faith recently. And we were speaking about these kind of events that have been happening. And he was saying how much this teaching of Christ, that we're to forgive those who have wronged us and that we're to pray for those who are our enemies, that this had really helped him in thinking about these sort of cultural events. And that really made an impression on me, and it called me back to this foundational and fundamental truth, which I think it's really easy to get to lose sight of when we're dealing with these sort of terribly divisive things, which is that as Christians, yes, I'm not saying that Christians should be apolitical or that we should be quietist or anything like that, but we always have to have this in our minds that our political opponents are not our enemies. They're not people who we want to destroy. They're not people who we should hate. They're people who we have to engage with love and forgiveness, even when they do absolutely appalling things. And when, you would go even further in some cases and say, even when they appear to be manifesting a kind of diabolical evil, which sometimes seems to be the case. And I think when you think about these things, not that, any of this kind of affects me, this stuff that's been going on recently, and it affects me personally, but when you think about these things, these teachings of Christ, and you think about people being murdered or terrible things of that sort happening, or people facilitating, the abduction and rape of children, and all the kinds of things that are going on in our world, it really does strike you sometimes just how radical Christ's teaching is when he says that we have to forgive others and that we have to love others even if they don't love us, and that we have to do good to those who don't do good to us, and all this sort of thing, because it's such a human reaction. And it almost feels like the right reaction in many ways, just to be so full of hatred and anger and violence towards those who act in this way towards us. So it really just struck me afresh today when I read those words.
It's a beautiful sort of vision of the Christian life, isn't it? And actually, I've been thinking about it. I quoted these words over the weekend with some clergy friends at the conference, because there's one question in one of the lectures that basically said, oh, what about all those awful reform people, and not in so many words, but who are racist bigots about immigration? Yeah, what do we do about them in the light of the Trinity or something? The Trinity is love, and I was sitting there thinking, I mean, this came from a sort of middle-aged woman, and I'm thinking, if you want to engage with people, then how about not demonizing them first? Like, if you want them to listen to you, maybe that's not the right way of going about it. Maybe actually we need to show them love and understanding. I don't agree with everything. Like, I think reform, one of the problems is, and I did see that James Orr has started a think tank which is trying to engage with this a little bit. Maybe we should get on there. Let's get in there, Jamie. Let's get
is that the same thing as this new podcast he's come out with?
Possibly, I don't know.
He's got a podcast called First Light, which he's just started. I noticed. I've only been back from holiday.
No, we should get in there. We should get him on the show to talk about it, because
that's a good idea.
there is I think a moral void in reform. Like, they're not perfect. I tend to I think a lot of the conclusions I agree with them, but that's tribal, to a degree. But what the problem here is, like, Church of England ministers, and we can see it from the Bishop of Oxford and from the Archbishop of York, like this complete failure to understand that people are worried and hurting. Like, how do we love them? And if we don't love them and show love to them, and I'm going to suggest, maybe tentatively, that people don't feel love when we nag and castigate and harangue, perhaps, then they're never going to listen to us, and we're never going to solve this problem of like a bit of a spiritual void in the middle of reform. And I think there is one. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't agree with everything they say, and I particularly think there's a problem that they haven't thought these things through. Like, what's the deeper issue in society? It's a spiritual one. It's not an economic one. It's not even an immigration one. There's a spiritual issue that's underneath all of this. And unless we love them, and even if then they're never going to listen.
Well, I think, part of loving people is about trying to understand their point of view, isn't it? And that's what I mean. I've actually literally got the clip from Stephen Cottrell, which we can listen to later if we have time. But that's what I think these higher ups don't do. They don't. They literally just there's no one around them who articulates a different point of view to the kind of progressive liberal nostrums. So they don't have any sort of capacity to think different thoughts.
And and we need to love them, as Jesus says, like, without even any expectation that they're going to start listening to us, because that's asking. That's loving for something in return. Like, let's start by just building loving relationships with people who we disagree with. And I think that the progressive leftist kind of majority of the House of Bishops and even most clergy need to hear that, because they're not coming across as loving. They're not coming across as loving people who are different to them.
No, I agree with that. So, Tom, let's talk about this then. I mean, so I have to be honest with you. Like, I was vaguely aware of who Charlie Kirk was, but I never watched his podcast or anything like that. Obviously, he's a prominent young political commentator, very close to the Trump administration, a Roman Catholic, I believe, very kind of like outspoken Roman Catholic, like pro-life. And he was he was assassinated seemingly by a distant gunman at, I think it was a university campus in Utah yesterday. I have to say, Tom, I find it amazing how, like, on mainstream websites, like the Telegraph website, they're actually posting the images of these things happening. I find that I've not watched it.
Horrible, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean,
But
it really is questionable, I think.
there's a couple that we're going to talk about because it's not a good week for murders of
Filmed
innocent
murders, yeah.
filmed murder because they're the same with Iryna Zarutska.
Yes.
The full video is available. It's horrible. Do we really need that?
I mean, I've not watched it. I'm sort of glad people
I've
have
not
because
watched it,
they can tell you what happened, and some of that one in particular is quite noticeable.
I've seen bits of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is obviously terrible. He's been shot in the throat. As far as I don't really understand because somebody's, and like this has literally just happened. I mean, we're recording this on Thursday afternoon, and we've obviously got other stuff going on, so there's only so much we can know by this point. But there seems to have been somebody who was dragged away from the crowd by the police, seemingly.
Yeah, but I don't think that was actually the shooter, though. I think.
But who was that then?
I don't think it's been released. I mean, to be fair, if they weren't responsible for it and they were, arrested for and then released because it wasn't them, they don't need to have their name dragged through the press, do they?
No. Yeah, the suspect was apparently on a building called the Lossy Centre building, which is 130 meters away from where Charlie Kirk was shot in the throat, and then I think he died later. And as far as I understand it, the gunman is still on the loose. Nobody knows where he is. And Trump has blamed the radical left for this assassination. Various tributes have come through online. There's been some questionable journalism around it, particularly from the BBC, I would say, in our country.
I mean, the other thing that's been very questionable has been the response of like the progressive left. There's a screenshot that Toby Young's got up of like all the responses to it, and they're all like, "Oh, do Ben Shapiro next," It's like literally that crass and that, it's just all these people who are saying, I don't believe people should be. There's some good sort of takes I've seen, some good takes. One of them is from someone called Feminist Raw on Twitter. It says, I keep seeing people say nobody should be murdered for saying their opinions. And I'm like, surely nobody should be murdered, as in full stop. And that holds even if they don't have a wife and kids, but just live on their own with a goldfish, And Graham Linehan, you don't have to say, quote, I disagreed with him on some things, quote, no one agrees with everyone on anything, on everything. It's a pointless statement that just distances you from your own humanity. Like, this person should not have been shot. Certainly, it's so tragic, isn't it? Like, he's bright, he had family, you agree or disagree with him, and I'm sure, most of us have a mix of both those things. No one should be shooting anyone. Anyway,
yeah, I mean, of course, and I think part of the broader sort of question here is, how much does this actually characterize the pathology of the progressive left, and how, or and to what extent is it legitimate to say that this is a sort of expression of a political ideology? Because of course, what defenders of political ideologies always say when things like this happen is this doesn't represent us. We don't condone these kind of actions. But I think when you see stuff on social media like that, you have to say there is a sense in which the progressive left does seem to at least justify violent acts. And we can all think of things which have been said in recent years by the left, which are sort of akin to incitement to violence. And in some ways, it's not hugely surprising when somebody takes that kind of rhetoric and then he decides to actually enact it. So, for example, a very common epithet which is applied to people like Charlie Kirk is that they're Nazis or that they're Hitler, and that happens all the time. I mean, David Lammy, for example, famously described Trump as a Nazi. I'm pretty sure. It was either that or he called him Hitler. I think he called him a Nazi.
Literally Hitler. No, yeah, probably. I mean, who knows? I mean,
He was literally Hitler. But the point I'm making is that when you go around saying things like that, when you go around saying somebody's a Nazi, like if you actually thought somebody was a Nazi, you might kill them. I mean, it's just because the Nazis were really, really evil and murderous.
To be fair, like I think that probably you could say that happens with extreme rhetoric of all sides. Like that's not.
But why? No, hang on a second. Where's the equivalent epithet from the right?
Well, I guess you might say the extreme right do demonize, for example.
What's the equivalent of them calling people Nazis?
Well, I'd say calling for I guess the answer would be dehumanizing people from Pakistan. People, that there is a sense in which
I don't think that's an equivalent, though.
I think you could say that some of the far right rhetoric can do exactly the same thing.
But Tom, like what? Like literally, give me an example.
Well, like the dehumanizing of migrants and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong.
In what way, though? In what way?
Because for exactly the same reason it's calling someone a Nazi, it gives permission that they might that they're less human, that they're not worth the protections, that they're worth killing. And I think don't get me wrong.
I don't really accept this. I think the rhetoric from the left is far more virulent and far more likely to incite violence than any rhetoric that you really see from the right. I mean, if you think about,
I said far right, Jimmy, but yeah, okay.
But what's far right, Tom? It's that far right is a fantasy. It's not. It's not an actual thing that exists in reality, is it? I mean, who is an actual far right person who is saying extreme things to the? I mean, I'm talking about the guy who is now the foreign secretary calling the president, or he wasn't the president at the time, a Nazi. That's a concrete example of the way that this language is bandied around all the time by the left. And there is not, I'm sorry, but there is not the equivalent on the right. It's not 6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
No, I didn't say that. But
you don't see right-wing people assassinating other people. And this isn't the first time.
I mean, that's not quite true. That's not quite true. I mean, I'm pretty certain that the actual turned out the person who shot Trump, for example, tried to shoot Trump was a right wing nut.
Where have you heard that?
I think I saw it online, and he wasn't left. So I'm a little bit like, before we hear everything, like deranged people do deranged things, like whether they're left or right wing or whatever they purport to be. Kind of, I'm pretty certain there would be assassin of Trump, and I can check. I'll get ChatGPT to check. Had posted right wing things in the past, but I'm just a little bit careful about like labeling it too strongly. Like I get your point. And I'll quite happily say, like, dehumanizing people, giving them epithets like Nazi, and sort of openly, as they appear to be on the kind and beautiful, blue sky platform, like calling for the further assassination of other far right, other right wing kind of conservative figures, is obviously going to dehumanize people, both en masse and in the particular, and lead to violence. Don't get me wrong. I agree with that, but I just think before, like, let's wait to see who did it, because there are sick people.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But the point I was making is that it's much easier to draw a direct link between the kind of language which is endorsed and proliferated by the progressive left in the West and violence than it would be the other way around. I mean, this kind of talk of the far right and all this kind of stuff, if you actually look at what people who are supposedly far right are actually saying, it's never like that. It's never calling for violence, and it's never justifying violence. It's always based around, political policies that the left finds unconscionable from a moral perspective, such as limiting migration, for example, or deportation of illegal immigrants and things like that. But that's not hatred. That's just these are just political policies. What I'm saying is, when you apply epithets like Nazi to people, you are, in a sense, at least opening the door for violence. Or if you call somebody Hitler or compare someone to, how many times has Trump been compared to Hitler? I mean,
I know what you mean.
And if you constantly call someone Hitler, somebody will eventually get it into their head to assassinate that person. because everybody thinks it would have been a good thing if Hitler was assassinated. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So
Thomas Matthew Crooks, by the way, he donated to a number of different things. He registered as a Republican. He voted Republic, but there's not really a coherent ideology behind him. So there's other things happening. Anyway, I think point taken. There's no point sort of arguing around this over and over again. Basically, Charlie Kirk was a bright young. And quite polite and gentle, robust at the same time. All of these things can be true, and had and was giving a public event. People, the fact that he was shot is absolutely tragic, and can only hope that these justice will be done. If not now, then we've got to pray for his children. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 2 small children, young wife, absolutely unbelievable what's happened. And you're right that we don't know exactly what's happened, but it sort of seems likely that it was politically motivated. Let's put it that way. Let's also talk about this other thing that's happened, which I don't. Again, like I apologize, I'm not like 100% up on this, but this video of a Ukrainian refugee, a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee in Charlotte, North Carolina. She was essentially attacked and murdered. She was stabbed 3 times in the neck and upper body while she was on a train by a man called DeCarlos Brown Jr. He was a 34-year-old homeless man with a lengthy criminal history. I think he'd been like incarcerated 14 times or something like that. And I think that obviously this is horrendous. Tom, this actually happened in August. So this is something I don't really understand. And I just saw the video of this being shared all over the place on Twitter yesterday. Do you know why this has suddenly become such a big story?
I don't really understand. No, I don't either. I mean, I obviously saw it pop up on Twitter. I mean, it's only August 22nd was only a couple of weeks ago, I guess, but it does seem to be a long time afterwards. I mean, here we have a kind of, someone who really should not have been out on the street, should he? Look at his criminal history: armed robbery, felony, larceny, breaking and entering, assault, and mental health related issues. He needed to be, at the very least, like in a place where he could be kept safe from himself, and probably still in a prison. Like what was he doing wandering around?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I think the thing is like I don't really know the answer to these questions, but obviously the suspicion is that he was not incarcerated because he was a black man, and that he was part of some kind of leveling up or balancing up policy in the justice system. Honestly, I don't know, but that's obviously that's the concern that people have. The other thing about it is that in the video, which I haven't watched, although you can watch it, there are 5 or like this. I'm looking at a still image of it. There's like 4 or 5. I think there's 5 black passengers around who don't do anything while this guy's stabbing this woman. And apparently, as I say, I've not watched the image. I've not watched the video because I won't watch it. But apparently they didn't do anything to help her. She was bleeding to death, which I think, if that's true, is really, really chilling, I have to say. Because it says something. I mean, there's obviously a racial element to this, which I think we should talk about. I don't think we should shy away from talking about it. But there's just the sense of like how this can happen in our societies, how people can show such little care for each other that they literally not only would they not protect this woman, but they literally sort of allow her to just bleed to death while they did nothing at all. That to me is really, really chilling. So any thoughts on that, Tom?
Well, I mean, yes, I have heard that he was sort of muttering racial thing. There's not that much information that I've been able to engage with.
Well, apparently he said on the racial side. Apparently he said something like, "I got that white girl" or something like that.
Yeah.
So he said He said that after stabbing her to death. He said, "Yeah, I got that white girl." So it was definitely a. I mean, this is what many people um, are saying about this, is that this was ignored by the media and the mainstream media and or the corporate media or whatever you want to call them. And if this was the other way round, it would be very, very widely covered that this was a racially motivated murder if it was a white or black murder. But because it's the other way round, it's just not mentioned. And that, I mean, I've not seen this anywhere on the news or anything like that, even though Trump came out with a statement. Again, I don't know when that was. I don't know whether that was yesterday or what, but the fact is that this is, as far as the corporate media are concerned, this is inconvenient, because it doesn't fit with their ideology, so they just ignore it. Even though it's clearly, as I say, it's clearly a racially motivated murder, a racist, anti-white racist murder.
Yep.
And there's no George Floyd's style protests. There's nobody even kicking up much of a fuss, apart from people on Twitter and latterly Trump. So that's the racial element of it.
Yep.
So it's very very disturbing.
And I think there's a sense. I mean, again, like we talked about, like how how these people over the last sort of 10, 20 years, like this, the kind of, we probably got to the high point of like race relations, didn't we? Some point before, the 2010, where actually there might even have been a sense of a trajectory of people coming, together, and ever since the progressive kind of dominance of culture, they've been putting wedges in again and again and again, like, and it's this is the sort of thing it ends up with, doesn't it? It's I think there'll be more tragedies, and it needs to, we need to stop dividing and start loving.
Well, it's to do with I think the advent of political correctness and identity politics, and then latterly, particularly the way that
Supercharged, yeah.
Well, it's been supercharged by the critical race theory and things like that, which is, of course, a sort of neo-Marxist ideology, which has been disseminated in various different ways, but it's certainly having a huge effect. And the George Floyd's
I mean, that's another point, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, it was back in our very first year ever, wasn't it? We never published it because we thought we'd get into trouble.
It was around the time we were starting this,
and just the reaction to the death of a convicted drug dealer, and
well, it's the proliferation of this kind of idea that white people are the oppressors, and that white people are sort of fundamentally racist, and that we still oppress black people through our racism, and that black people actually, for this reason, can't be racist. Certainly can't be racist against white people, but racism is kind of all one way. And so it sort of creates a situation in which there can be this sort of justification for any kind of action that's deemed to be necessary or appropriate against white people. And again, you can see there have been progressive outlets in the US who have been justifying this stabbing and excusing these actions in ways which, just from a sort of sane perspective, you can't really understand. It's like, why would you not just say, this is, news outlets going to like the history of slavery in America and things like that. It's like it's not a justification for murdering a Ukrainian woman, a 23-year-old Ukrainian woman, but because they've made white people the enemy, in people's minds, this kind of thing is, well, if not justifiable, then it's at least sort of understandable, and it's It's just evil. I mean, this ideology, this whole thing is just evil. All of this crap. And again, you go back to like the church and the way the Church of England has embraced this stuff and continues to embrace this stuff. Having, having sort of segregated spaces for, so-called global majority heritage clergy and this kind of stuff. This is all, I'm not saying this is like they are, instigating violence and things like that, but it's all of a piece. The ideology is all the same, and it's not Christian. If you read the Gospels and read what St. Paul says about, the effect the gospel has in terms of reconciling Jew and Gentile and this kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's what we need to be talking about.
Yeah.
It's depressing, and it feels like we just continually cycling back round into violence. And when are we able to break out of this? Well, who knows?
So anyway, sorry, Tom. Karen. Well, I was just going to say, go on, you talk.
No, we're going on.
Well, I was just going to say, let's talk a little bit about Graham Linehan, shall we? Because that happened while I was away. We won't talk about Angela Rayner because I think.
Well, I should just say an apology. Like, I didn't know when we spoke, because I defended her, didn't I? So here we go. Publicly, I defended. I said, she should be given the benefit of the doubt. But it turns out that she was in fact fiddling first and second homes around, and she's had to resign.
Well, if I could just add something here, Tom.
Go on.
Obviously, I'm not an apologist for Angela Rayner, and I was being critical of her before, but has she actually, one of the questions I had about this is, has she actually done something illegal?
No, I don't think she has, but arguably what she's done is tax avoidance. Certainly what she's done is tax avoidance, which we're all entitled to do.
Yeah.
Except for perhaps when you're a member of a government that is trying to rack up every single possible tax everywhere. That is hypocrisy. So I said before, I'm not sure she's hypocritical just to buy a third home, but to be avoiding tax when actually your government is slapping tax on everyone left, right, and centre.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And she's publicly criticised avoiding tax.
Yeah, and with a wheeze that's like kind of slightly dubious.
Well, I just think if it's legal, it's fine, isn't it? But
it's not necessarily legal. Actually, it's she might have been told it's legal. She may have assumed it was legal, but it looks like it might actually be a incorrect use of that.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, let's say it's legal. Then I think it's hypocrisy, isn't it? That's the
then it becomes hypocrisy, not illegal, but hypocrisy. Like I commend anyone to you shouldn't have to pay more tax than the state is due to you. Like, you give to Rome what is due to Rome. You don't have to give beyond that. And I'd advise you didn't, because it'll
be used for nefarious purposes, which is be flushed out the toilet,
killing people or wasted. Basically. Obviously if you're part of that state that is constantly racking up the cost of tax, then avoiding it like that does become quite hypocritical.
Well, yeah, I think that's the issue, isn't it? It's hypocrisy rather than anything else.
Do you know who else has gone today, Jamie? Have you heard? Have you heard the news? Peter Mandelson has gone. Yeah.
Well, because because of his ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, if you are going to write to Epstein, after he's been convicted of child sex abuses, and say we're with you. You should apply for early release, and then organise a government business with him worth £1 billion. So this is what Lord Mandelson wrote him after his conviction in 2008 for soliciting sex from a minor. Lord Mandelson said, "I think the world of you, and I feel hopeless and furious about what has happened. I can still barely understand it. It could not happen in Britain. You have to be incredibly resilient, fight for early release, and be philosophical about it as much as you can. Everything can be turned into opportunity, and that you will come through it and be stronger for it. The whole thing has been years of torture, presumably for the minor. But anyway, you have to show the world how big a person you are and how strong. Your friends stay with you and love you."
Gosh.
So, there's no doubt that Mandelson was incredibly close to him. Not only that, supporting him when he'd already been convicted, and also conducted British state business with him, with a paedophile. This is ludicrous, And the idea that because Starmer claimed that all the procedures have been properly followed about 4 times at
PMQs.
PMQs, yeah, because Badenoch kept asking, "Do you know all the proper procedures have been followed?" We followed the procedures properly. etc., etc., etc. Okay, how much did he know? Probably everything.
Yeah.
You know,
PM insists he didn't know the depth and strength of the relationship. Number 10 declines to apologize to Epstein victims or for original appointment, apparently.
yeah, but we knew that he was a friend, and I think maybe he didn't know the exact like criticisms available, but let's be honest, like the government had quite strong powers of vetting. You know,
has there ever been a worse government than the current UK government, just in terms of
there was a government in the 1780s that lasted 2 days, wasn't there? Um,
it's just a kind of perfect blend, isn't it? Of like sleaze, incompetency,
boringness,
lack of personality and charisma.
all the proper procedures have been followed.
It just makes you think, like, how, I mean, could this actually, you know, in terms of the wasting our money, crashing the economy, how much longer? I mean, I don't know. I don't literally got no idea. But how much longer can this government carry on?
Well, did you hear that Ed Miliband, Kia wanted to move Ed Miliband off the net zero portfolio, and Ed Miliband has refused to go. You're thinking, well, it's quite clear he has no real control over his own ministers. I mean, presumably, Ed Miliband has some sort of compromat on Keir Starmer, like he could probably bring the government down, like which really means that Ed Miliband is in charge, which should really worry us all.
Yeah, it does.
Like, seriously worry us all. Like,
well, I heard that he couldn't get rid of Miliband because he was sort of a key left, you know,
well, that's it, yeah,
left-wing figure in the party. So,
but practically speaking, this means that Ed Miliband has more power than Keir Starmer, right? The only power Keir Starmer has
in this area, yeah. I mean, it's just terrible, isn't it? It really just makes you think, like, how much longer can this go on? I was listening to somebody who was saying that, you know, bookies are now slashing the odds on a 2026, 2027 general election. But it does make you wonder how much longer a government like this can continue, where you've had the deputy prime minister and now our envoy to America resign in the same week. So many other things have been going on as well. Just, you know, the economy just completely in the toilet. Approval ratings must now be at an all-time low for Labour. It really is just crazy, isn't it? Let's look it up. Labour approval ratings. But yeah, I mean, it does make you wonder how much longer it can go on for, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, got a budget coming up. I'm sure that'll be joyful.
Voting intention, Labour, this is September the 3rd to the 5th. I think this will have presumably changed. 23%, trailing Reform UK at 30% currently. So it's not looking good.
No, that's the only thing, is like, while it's not looking good, of course, Keir Starmer's not going to, unless his government collapses. But
he's not going to what, sorry?
We're not going to call an election while it's looking bad, does he? He can just sort of rule as a kind of dead, lame duck, kind of.
Yeah,
we'll have to see. But anyway, not looking great for Keir Starmer and his new his government. He's got a new. He's reset. This is the third reset in a year. Someone was doing a count of how many government like aims there have been, and it's something like 30. Now, so we had like the pledges, and then the aims, and then now we've got 3. So it just, you know, every time it's like he just makes up a new set of targets, basically.
Yeah, like me trying to discipline my kids is right. Now we're going to try something different.
Yeah.
Right, we should move on. Just talk about a couple of things. So Graham Linehan was arrested by 5 armed police officers when he came from his place in America to Heathrow for some posts on X. One in particular stated that a trans-identified male in a female-only space is committing a violent abusive act, and suggested to, quote, make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, punch him in the balls.
It's clearly a joke, isn't it? I mean, if you can stand and scream, you know, slit his throat in the middle of a crowd, you can make a joke like that, can't you? Without, you know, it's there's no way that the Met should be arresting him.
2-tier policing, Tom. That's what everyone's saying. Once again, there are many people who are saying it's not 2-tier policing, but it does sort of look like he's being treated in a particular way because of his ideological stance rather than anything he actually did. Not nice tweets. I mean, that's not particularly nice tweet. And he also said something like he hates. He put like a photo of some trans thing, transgender people doing something, and he said he hates them and that they're misogynist and homophobe. So it's not nice things. But the question is, like, should these things be illegal?
Illegal.
Not really.
Well, I will point out that the India Williambury claims that language dehumanizes and encourages violence against trans people. But I mean,
yeah, but this is the point I'm making, is that it's apt to be interpreted that way when it's coming from the right, but when it's never interpreted that way when it's coming from the left, and often in much more extreme examples as well. So like, this is the thing, is like they won't just look at that and saying punch him in the balls and think that's a joke. Like, he's not actually saying that you should actually do that, and nobody would think that because the humor is implicit in the language, right? But they won't. But they just seize on anything, and they say, you said punch him in the balls, you're inciting violence. But we can't use language in an expressive or humorous way anymore, because people who want to clamp down on certain types of speech will just use anything. It used to be the case. Like, do you remember when we were younger? There was this phrase that people used to use when they'd say, "Take him outside and shoot him." Do you remember that?
Yeah,
you never hear that anymore.
What was it from? Was it from a comedy show? Was it?
I don't know. Was it from like Dad's Army or something like that? Like, my teachers would say that in my school. They'd say, "Oh, take him outside and shoot him." Like, nobody actually thought that was being said seriously. It's a joke, right? But now, because we got to this stage where language is policed in this way, we can't even make jokes about violence anymore. I mean, that's the whole point of the humor, isn't it? Is that it's obviously not true. It's so extreme that nobody would ever take it seriously. But we've lost the capacity to use humor in this way now because the law has changed. Because anything, I mean, some of this stuff, like, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, and perhaps people who are lawyers who listen to this could correct me, but in terms of like stirring up hatred, almost anything could be stirring up hatred, couldn't it? Like, this podcast could be stirring up hatred, and
could be.
We could be arrested for this podcast. This kind of policing of language is so vague. It could be politicized and targeted towards anyone, really. So that's my thought. I mean, we don't really have to talk about it too much, because I mean, it's obviously stupid. The whole thing is obviously ridiculous. And I almost got up our next video there. You heard some birds tweeting. Yeah.
Shall we go to there then? Just go there, because we've got about a quarter of an hour left until I need to go. So what's next, Jamie? The great switch for creation.
I thought we'd do this because it's quite funny, and I think it's been quite dark so far, isn't it?
When it says this season of creation, is that actually, have they actually got that through?
Well, you know how much you love Creation Tide, Tom.
I do, yeah.
Which is
that a new thing?
Made up liturgical season, not given to us by the early church, but made up recently, I believe, probably by the Church of England. It used to be the case that it was just ordinary time now until Advent. But apparently we have to have a different season at the end of ordinary time, which is called Creation Tide. So I'm laughing because I saw one of the comments on this video.
There are only two comments on the official Church of England.
This is a channel. This is a YouTube channel, official YouTube channel from the Church of England, called Resources from the Church of England. Sounds very, very exciting. They got 937 subscribers, and this video has 290 views. It's called The Great Switch for Creation. We're about to make it 291, Tom.
Whoa.
We're excited.
There are two comments.
Yeah, we've got two comments. Yeah. I think we know.
What an absolute disgrace. Those who commissioned this video have made the great switch from God to the idol of our age. Good, thank you. Some well-filled church. And the second one is,
I know,
the propagandized and now propagandees. This is blasphemously pathetic.
Well-filled church. I know exactly who that is. I'm just laughing because it's somebody. I won't name him, but he knows who he is, and he's got his church.
Would he be listening to this? Yeah,
he might be.
That's good.
He's got his church's name there, Wellfield Church, so it's not like he's trying to disguise himself. All right, so you ready to listen to the great scriptural creation? As always, just tell me when to pause. Here we go. Bit of bird song at the beginning. This is an original poem by Amelia Turncliffe of St. Luke's Church, North London. It's a version, Tom, a version of Psalm 23. Not a translation, very much not, a version.
In this time of climate crisis, God is my solar panel. I shall not be in the dark.
Yeah. I don't really understand that, because I don't understand the metaphor. I must admit, because I mean, are we saying that God is receiving something and making energy from it? Does she mean God is her sun and she is the solar panel?
No, that's not what she said. She specifically,
that would be vaguely, at least, kind of orthodox.
She said, "God is my solar panel."
God is my solar panel.
I was thinking about that because, of course, the Church Fathers used the image of the Son for the Holy Trinity.
Tertullian, yeah.
So that makes sense. But saying God is my solar panel, it rather begs the question of where this sunlight is coming from. And
it is a bit weird, isn't it? And then what does one do with God as a solar panel? Do you wear it on your head?
I shall not be in the dark. It just makes no sense at all.
But hang on a second. Solar panels don't emit light.
Yeah, but presumably they.
But then God is my solar panel. I shall not be in the dark, unless there's some sort of circuitry between the solar panel and a light. Okay, that's weird.
It's very. It should have been. It should have been. I'm not saying this in this form, but it should have been. I am a solar panel. And
in this time of climate crisis, I am a solar panel.
In this time of climate crisis, God is my solar panel. I mean, that is blasphemy, isn't it? I mean, it's just weird. It's basically, is it God is my solar panel, or is it the solar panel is God? That's what I would ask. You know, it's making green technology. It's divinizing green technology, isn't it? Basically,
this is true. This is true.
It's idolatry. Yeah. Mark from Wellfield Church. Sorry, I've just named him. He's right. This is the idol of our age. Right. Let's go. I should not be in the dark.
God energizes me.
Right. Okay. So God energizes me. So what does that mean?
God is both solar panel and energy that energizes this, or maybe.
But is the solar panel energize the light?
Have we changed metaphor?
We must have done, because she said, "I shall not be in the dark."
She might as well just said, like, God is my Lucasade.
If she was energized by the solar panel, presumably she'd be like a light bulb or something.
But it is a reasonable, like, maybe she's a light bulb and she's shining
because
the energy of God,
solar panel,
which would, to be fair, cut lighting costs if that was actually possible.
It would,
if we like all illuminated. Okay, go on.
Right, let's go on.
Leading me into hope.
Hang on, can we just go?
Something about I shan't be in the dark. I will be light or something, leading me into hope.
But God is.
God energizes me.
God energizes me, leading me into hope.
Leading me into hope.
Okay. So carry on.
Okay, carry on. I guess.
I was definitely impressed when the church announced that they were going green and sustainable.
This is somebody from St. Luke's, North London, talking about how great it is they've gone sustainable.
I think it's really sad that the older generations have messed up the climate. So I think it's really good that the church.
Just name it. Just name them. The older generation.
The older generations.
They've messed up.
Like, okay, fine, love. Go and live in a yurt. Go and live in a wattle and daub home. You know, come on, put your phone down, love. Go on.
We're fixing it. We are fixing it.
We're fixing it. Yeah, it's good. Thanks.
Just taking a lead and being more eco-friendly.
The planet that we've been gifted is so beautiful and so fragile.
This is a lady called Joy Hinson, who I'm afraid to say is a member of that older generation who have messed up the climate.
Does she have plastic earrings on? She's a hypocrite. So that's oil, that is. Just stop oil. Also, it's not that delicate, right? It's lasted, I mean, depending on how long you think.
Fragile.
You know, it's so fragile. It's just if you hit the ground, it cracks like an egg.
It's so fragile, Tom.
It's complete nonsense. Anyway, go on, keep going. It's just not unscientific.
One of the simplest decisions that we've had to make was to switch to a green energy tariff. And now the church has made it so much easier for you to do the same.
She really seems happy about this. Very happy.
It's weird because it's kind of like a slight Cockney kind of, not really, is it Essex kind of accent?
Yeah, it's a bit low. Yeah, it's North London.
But so it's sort of shaking with joy, isn't it? Like, now the church has finally made it possible.
Can you explain to me what a green energy tariff actually involves?
So what happens here is the energy provider pretends that all the energy comes from renewables, but actually it comes from a mixture of renewables and other stuff, because that's practically speaking, you can't go, oh, here is this bit of energy has come from renewables and this other bit of energy. No, we don't have that. There's nothing. Once it's turned into electricity, it's just in the grid, of course. So, practically speaking, if you turned off all non-renewable generation, our country would be a lot greener, Jamie, because we would have no lights, no heating, no plastics, no anything really. It'd be so green, Jamie. We'd die horrible deaths the moment that we'd all shiver. Horribly detached and run out of food quite rapidly because the whole of the economy would collapse. So basically, it's what this whole green energy tariff thing is a self-deceiving lie that people like to tell themselves.
Very good. Let's carry on.
They've done all the background work for you and made it really easy.
She sounds like she's about to cry, doesn't she?
It's like she's on drugs, Jamie.
I am full. My battery is powered up, even in the days of cloud. I know the divine presence is there, ready and waiting.
I mean, this imagery is all over the place, isn't it? I mean, surely if the clouds are there, the solar panel isn't going to pick up any energy, and so your battery isn't going to be full.
So you're not going to be energized, and you're going to be led into hope. No. Alas. Okay.
There's another man talking about this now.
Okay, go on.
A lot of support for it from our church.
Great.
And I was very relieved when we did it.
Very relieved. Very relieved.
Ready, set,
Good girl. Go. With her mum. Making a cup of tea. Florence.
So when the church switched our tariff, it felt like a great step for our community.
And as each day the sun rises,
this is the poem again.
Hidden sometimes, but ever present, I grow not weary or afraid.
Over the years, this church has seen.
Yeah.
I'm glad she's not afraid of overcast days. I mean, I would be if I believed in renewables, because overcast and windless days are exactly when people will start freezing in their homes, especially if they're older.
Let's just face it, this symbolism just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
We do seem to have this outside, entity now of the sun. I mean, but God's her solar panel. So what's the sun?
It does. None of it makes any sense. Is she?
It's near pagan.
Is she in a room being lighted by an electric light bulb that's connected to a solar panel? Is she the battery on the solar panel? Is she the light bulb? Is God the solar panel? Is God the sun?
What are the clouds?
Is the sun?
What are the clouds?
If God isn't the sun, what is the sun and what are the clouds? And how could it be the case that God is cut off from a source of energy when God is the source of all energy in existence? The symbolism does not make any sense.
So what is
sorry,
Psalm 23 is what they're trying to do. So Psalm 23.
It's not a version. Go. We don't need to look up Psalm 23. Tom. We've got 3 minutes left, and you know exactly what Psalm 23 says.
Well, I'm just trying to see if there's any coherent.
No, the answer is no.
Links like this.
No, it does not. No. Let's watch this. Come on, we need to watch the end of this, so we're going to run out of time. Here we go.
Changes, but this change I know will be of great benefit to us and future generations.
This is Norman.
For I know,
thanks, Norman,
the power will return and the light will shine through.
Not if you're on renewables, love.
Switching our church to a green energy tariff is just one of many simple but...
That's the priest.
Some priest.
Lincoln.
Paul. Okay. I've been quite patronizing, but the whole video is really patronizing me, so I'm fed up with it. So sorry if anyone's been offended by my patronizing of this woman. There's a lie there, because this will make no practical difference to anyone. I'm sorry, no, even if the whole Church of England ceased to exist, it was all just scoured off the face of the earth tomorrow.
If it was precision carpet bombed by a fleet of resurrected German
bombers. Let's extend this. Let's say the whole church, like the entirety of church. Let's say Christ came and took away the whole church,
raptured the church.
It would make zero difference to a purported climate crisis. We just simply don't have enough of an energy footprint to make any difference. And there
isn't a climate crisis.
Well, and there isn't obviously there isn't a climate crisis, Jamie. But I'm just saying, even within their own it would make zero difference.
Yeah, even within their own sort of view of things, it doesn't really make very much. It's a way of advertising their moral virtue, isn't it? That's what.
That sounds like something Jesus. Didn't he say something about that?
He wasn't into that. He
wasn't into advertising a moral virtue, was he?
No, in fact, you might say this is a bit like standing on the street corners praying in order to be seen by men. You might say that.
You might say
I'm not saying you would, but
you also might say this is a bit of perverting the word of the Lord by claiming this is anything to do with Psalm 23, which is a gorgeous psalm that gives hope in darkness. It's also, you might say that condemnation comes upon people who do that.
Yeah, let's hope the 290 people who've watched this have not been led too far astray. Come on, let's finish off, shall we? We've got a minute left to go. I know you've got to go, but let's finish it.
Significant ways that we can put our faith into action. And it supports our call to be an example, to be agents of light in our world.
You know what this video doesn't say, Jamie?
Imagine the impact.
Yeah, let's just watch this. Imagine the impact
that we could make if we all switched to a green tariff.
Imagine how different things would be. Imagine if we could all switch to a green. Imagine how great that would be. Imagine how much. Presumably they're not going to tell us what difference it would make, but maybe it will.
For our children, for our grandchildren, for everyone in every nation on God's beautiful earth.
In every nation. Wow. By switching to a green energy tariff, your church will play an important part in reducing the Church of England's overall carbon emissions. Is there anything else? Together, we can act in faith to help restore God's creation. This campaign is part of the Church of England's Net Zero Carbon Programme. Thanks to everyone. Join the movement and make the great switch.
Do you know what? You know what that doesn't say anything about? Jesus.
God, Jesus.
Well, it does say something about God, but everything it says about God is a weird kind of heresy. So
idolatrous.
So I mean, really, all it says is some heresy. And
that's Pelagianism. We were talking about Pelagianism on Collard, weren't we? But
you should listen to our Uncollared.
You should.
You can pay a small fee and listen to our Uncollared. Oh goodness me, Jamie. I mean,
that is Pelagian. That's pure Pelagian, because it's like what we're called to do is to restore creation by switching to a green energy tariff, and we set an example to other people because they should be doing the same. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all just switch to a green energy tariff? And we'd all be.
It would make no difference.
We'd all be enjoying God's creation. The thing I find so sad about all of this is the delusional aspect of it. It's so much effort and energy for something which, as you rightly say, Tom, doesn't make any difference to anything. It's a complete waste of time and money and energy and resources, and it's completely pointless. It would literally make no difference if the whole net zero ideology, the whole climate change ideology just disappeared. If it was all just gone, it would make no difference to the climate at all, wouldn't it? I mean, it would make no difference to anything, no discernible difference to anything. And yet we're told that this is literally the most important thing in the world. It's a crazy, insane ideology that's taken hold of almost sort of all, certainly all the kind of political and elite class in our country. But yeah, the church is, I don't know, what can you say about this? I mean, really, what can you say about it?
It's just complete bonkers. It's completely, it's completely. It's not bonkers because that sort of like knocks off the edges of this blasphemy, this complete lack of, actually our core mission, which is to which is to proclaim Christ crucified. It has nothing to do with that. It ramps up costs, and it sounds all very benign until you realise that it's much more. They're also trying to force people to go on to electricity only heating systems. As well. I mean, it's one of the things that's very ironic. All my churches have gas or oil boilers, right? I'm not taking those out unless I'm forced to. Actually, the amount of electricity we use is very low. The only time it becomes any difference in the grand scheme of things is by far the energy output of the church is burning oil or gas. The only time it make any difference if as they're trying to force us to have like heat pumps or whatever, when it'll become horrendously expensive and be like a millstone on the back of an already struggling congregation, and it's just literally pouring money down these kind of secular and irreligious kind of pathways. So all in all, I think the church should repent and take these down and fire all the people responsible. And basically, probably all the bishops should resign as well. It
hasn't happened yet, but I'm waiting for the day when I hear either the institutional church or some other church representative start suggesting that people limit the amount of times they meet in their church buildings in order to conserve energy for green reasons. Like, why have you thought about? I mean, let's think this through. Like, if we are really destroying the planet, why not just meet once a month in your church? Then you won't have to have the heating on so much.
That's practically what they're doing anyway. Like, they're making them so hard to heat that people are so cold. Why don't just don't meet through the winter?
Winter, just give up. Just meet when it's warm. I mean, people are going to start saying that eventually because it's the logical implication of this way of thinking. If you really think that the purpose of the church is to reduce carbon emissions and to set an example and to get everyone else to do the same, why would you use your building at all? You'd be better off closing the building down, probably, and meeting in a facility which is more green energy orientated, surely.
Maybe a surprised hedgerow.
I just moved my I just accidentally kicked the wire that's attached to my laptop, and it swiveled my camera around. People may have seen that watching the video. If you're not watching the video, you're missing out. Anyway,
Get it of the scandal. Yeah, maybe a surprised hedgerow or something instead. Let's just go. We could just go full pagan, shouldn't we? We could just meet in like by rivers and stuff.
We could do one of those hedgerow communions.
Yeah, exactly. As I was saying, hedgerow communion. Yeah, I was being reminded by the Dean of Battle about that. Because he's a good friend, and he was he found it very funny that we accused him of pagan pagan hedgerow communions.
Was he into it?
No, not at all. No, he's
Why
good.
are we accusing him then? I can't remember.
I think we found a website which mentioned they might be doing them, and it was a Welsh one, wasn't it? But we found another one, he thinks it was probably from the previous dean.
Okay, so it wasn't him.
It's certainly not him. No.
Well, no. Okay, well that's good. It's good to see people distancing themselves from these hedgerow communions, which have become quite a problem.
Surprised hedgerows, yeah. That's why I said they were going to surprise a hedgerow, weren't they? Anyway, yes. Good, Jamie. I've got to go because I've got a meeting in 20 minutes.
You go, and I'll do the plug for everyone.
Thank you, everyone. God bless everyone.
Thanks, Tom.
It's been wonderful, as always.
God bless. See you soon.
Enjoyed that. Bye.
Bye. Well, it's just me now, just finishing off. Just to say thank you very much for listening to this and for watching it. Please do email the show. We frequently read emails out. We like to receive feedback, and it doesn't make the show more interesting if you do that. So please email the show at reverendpod@gmail.com. That's reverendpod@gmail.com with anything at all that you'd like to comment on, or any questions that you have, and so on and so forth. If you enjoy this show, it's really, really important that you support us by becoming a Patreon. Patreon is a great website. It means that basically you can support us for a very low level of money. So we're talking about £2.50 plus VAT in the UK per month. And this is necessary because it costs money to run this show. I am a part-time priest, part-time writer and podcaster, and I live off the money I make on this podcast and doing other stuff. So it supports me directly. So basically it pays for the podcast, just to put it bluntly, if you like the podcast, please help us to pay for it. £2.50 plus VAT in the UK. If you do that, you get the episodes normally earlier than everyone else. You get our bonus audio podcast, Uncollared, where we talk about various things, which may be slightly more behind the scenes, sometimes more theological. Sometimes we ask people who subscribe for questions and that sort of thing. It's a really good podcast, a really good bonus podcast for people who support us. So it's only a small amount of money. You can give more if you want. We also have a Substack, reverendpod.substack.com. It costs a £5 to join that. If you'd like to make a direct donation, you can do that as well. Please email me at reverendpod@gmail.com and we can sign you up to the Substack for free if you do that. And then you'll get all the stuff that I mentioned that you get if you become a patron. So there are various ways that you can support us, as I say, from very, very little, £2.50 plus VAT, so just over £3 a month, which is not very much at all, to more if you'd like to. But please do consider supporting us if you do not do that already, and that will help us to continue to run this podcast. And quite frankly, it will help me to live, which I really, really appreciate. Thank you. I think that's it for now. It's been fun. I have enjoyed it. It's a very dark time at the moment. So maybe I shouldn't say just it's been fun unambiguously. There's always darkness in the world. There are always things which are distressing, things which cause us anxiety, things which cause us pain. We have to hold on to Christ and we have to hold on to the gospel because it is our only hope. Honestly, when things like that Charlie Kirk assassination happen, and I saw these images of him with his wife and young children, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. And all we can say is, come, Lord Jesus, and redeem this world, which is so broken and so lost without you. So let's pray. Let's pray now, but let's continue to pray for our nations, for the nation of England and of Great Britain, for America, for all the nations of the earth, that all people would come to know Christ and would submit to his righteous rule and reign. So let's pray. Gracious Lord, we give thanks to you for the gospel, for your presence in this world, in our lives, in the church. Please guide the nations into the ways of peace and our rulers into the ways of righteousness. Bless all who listen to this podcast with your presence and with your peace. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Thank you everyone for listening and for watching. We do really appreciate it. We look forward to being with you again. And until next time, keep watch and keep the faith.